So I would just ask this. So we've been in this now for about 10 weeks. We spent the first probably 30 to 45 days really in the care calls, right? Really focused in on just connecting with people from humanity's perspective. I think if I'm seeing something, and I actually spent a little bit of time in the office this morning, and as I was walking through the office, it's still very deserted, right? We're not quite open. But it was very interesting to me to have conversations with people, and there were two very different conversations going on. You've got the people who really they just never stopped working. They were connecting with people from an empathetic perspective, but they have been able to make the transition into that value piece that you're talking about. And then there are some other people that are just really struggling. They just don't feel authentic. They don't feel like that it's the right message for them. I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to guess as to really what they're feeling that's keeping them from that. My sense is that they're continuing to get stuck in the areas that they can control, right? That aren't theirs. What are you telling people?
Yeah. So Todd, this is a really interesting point. I had an agent in the New Zealand marketplace that had quite a level of guilt going on because they basically took a holiday and they went into sort of self-protection, hibernation kind of mode. And therefore they're sort of coming out of this and then they're not knowing what to do. A bit of confused mind stalls. But the most important thing I said to them is, today is the first day of the rest of your real estate career. What you have or haven't done over the last month, 6 weeks, bong, turn the page, put that in the background. And I remember sort of years and years ago as a little tacker, does little tacker compute?
No.
No, okay.
No, I'm writing it down though because it's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, okay. A little tacker is a kid. So Peter, think I'm between 8 and 10 years old, and we had these really cool books in Australia that when you hear the word like this, bong, turn the page. So it was cassette tapes in those days. You put the cassette in, boom, you'd listen to it, and when you hear this, bong, turn the page. So you literally turn the page. And what I think a lot of agents need to do is turn the page on this and you open up to a brand new page. It doesn't matter what you have and haven't done. I mean, if you had done some great stuff in the last month, 6 weeks, you get a huge thumbs up. If you haven't, you get a thumbs up as well, because today is the first day of the rest of your real estate career. Your 30-day plan can be as strong as anyone else's 30-day plan just by actually getting into go mode with it. And sure, you might need to start by doing some care calls, but pretty quickly you can move to value calls because the market has shifted. I mean, read your play, read your marketplace, read your clients, and also even per state, probably, Peter, this differs a little bit at the moment, what you can do, what you can't do. So just make it relevant for you as to where you're at. But as soon as he did that, and I said, look, just grab hold of the guilt you've got right now and throw it. Because it was actually guilt getting in the way, Peter. So I was guilty that I haven't done what I know I should be doing. It's done. Let it go. Today's the first day of the rest of your real estate career.
I love that.
So based on that, guys, what I've put together is some key strategies, some frameworks to be able to help you move forward, including some what I'm calling cut-through dialogue. I talk about karate chops along those lines. I do believe right strategies, great mindset is going to achieve the best outcome right now. So, and once again, back to control. Can I control my strategies that I'm applying? The answer is yes. Can I control my mindset? Absolutely yes. It'll achieve the best outcome. So just get focused in terms of today into bringing those two into, can I control this? Can I influence this? How do I actually capitalize on it? Okay. Next is being informed, not overwhelmed. This is a biggie because a lot of the clients that my agents are working with are in an overwhelmed situation. And back to Todd, your point right up front is stock is on the short side. It is easier for me, and I think the next one here, where is it? Where is it? Hang on, I'm going to bring it up for you. Yeah, this one. If confidence is missing, people will not act. So right now, it is easier for me, if I'm thinking of selling my property, not to actually go to market than to go to market. Now, one of the amazing things about this business, unlike an ice cream shop or something along those lines, A gelato store has actually hasn't stockpiled their business. They're not going to see a flurry of activity coming in after this. The 3,000 scoops that they haven't served, it's not like next month they're going to have another 3,000 scoops. It's gone. It's out. Radio's lost revenue. It's just gone. You can't stockpile radio revenue. So what we're seeing here with this is, with real estate, it's stockpiled. But the thing that I'm talking about with my clients is, how do you instill confidence in your particular buyers? How do you instill confidence in your sellers? And I think one of the key things that I'm going to go through today with you is a series of super practical grabs that will allow you to actually take that on board. In fact, Peter, should we go through the grabs first and then go back and backfill some of the other components so the guys get some specific dialogues? What do you think?
Let's do it.
Hey, just real quick, Michael. So with regard to the slides, yes, the slides are available. You can connect with Michael _Sheargold on Instagram. Is that your preferred platform, Michael?
I think if you just jump onto michael@michaelsheargold.com, the web address here, two things. There's some cool tools that the guys can download. So straight away, and I will, over the next week, anyone who comes from the US marketplace, Coldwell Banker, I'll make sure you also get the slide pack, and I'll send it through to you guys as well. So you've got it. Yeah.
Beautiful. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
So let me just go to this framework here, guys. I've got this, my cool new Mac that has the ability. Okay, power language. So this is what our guys are doing right now to get business across the line. The first important point, if the guys want to make a note of this, is be the client's source of knowledge. So if there is a level of overwhelm in the marketplace, we've got to be the ones that inform them, not overwhelm them. So therefore, and look, it's fair to say in the Aussie marketplace, the assumption that sellers are making is no one's buying, nothing is selling, therefore why should I even consider coming to market? That's the mode that they're in. So we need to be the voice of reason, giving them perspective, giving them insight, giving them perspective as to, well, what is selling and what's actually occurred. That would be sharing a case study. That would be putting in a perspective as to, well, this is the number of properties on the market this year compared to the number of properties on the market last year. There is some buyer demand. In fact, there's significant buyer demand right now. A property similar to yours that we took to market last week, we saw this level of activity. Now, this is all a big part, Peter, of actually creating confidence in me as a buyer. And one of the things, I know you had Sharon here a week or two ago, with video, my biggest tip on video, guys, is the last 3 conversations you've had with buyers and or sellers, I guarantee there is a video for you to do immediately after that. So I've just put the phone down from this particular person. That's interesting. There's a bit of a theme here. I've mentioned this over the last 3 calls. I've mentioned this twice. Bang, straight away, get the camera out and go, hey, I've just had some conversation with some clients and I wanted to give you this first-hand information as to what we're seeing in the marketplace. So some power language. The first one is to use the term market dynamics. I'd love to share with you the market dynamics we're seeing at play at the moment in the marketplace. So as soon as we start talking market dynamics, people are going, well, okay, I'm interested in what's happening in terms of market dynamics. The second one here is our ultimate goal is to elevate your property. So one of the reasons you'll be with Coldwell Banker, one of the reasons you'll be choosing me as your agent is to ensure that we can elevate your property in the marketplace. The next one is, let's take a look at the current intel. Now, this word intel is so simple yet so important. I'd like to share with you the current intel in the marketplace. Let me actually run through this. Now, what you might do, from a social media, I'm big on a pull strategy, not just a push strategy. So not putting everything out there, saying, hey, if you would like to know some more depth about the market intel, I'd love to actually have a chat with you with the current intel we've got as to what's happening in the marketplace. And by the way, a lot of my clients have shifted from we've sold this many homes to we have helped these 7 people over the last 4 weeks move. So talk more about the humanistic side right now than actually I've sold a property. Actually, we've helped this many people. We've supported this many people on their property journey at this point in time. Strategy, we spoke about that earlier. Get the word strategy into your conversation. Next is crystal ball. A lot of people, and we're talking about pipeline. Peter, is pipeline something pretty consistent over there in terms of listing pipeline?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect,
Yeah.
perfect.
Talk the same language.
So, yeah, perfect. So we're talking at the moment about a now pipeline, an L2 pipeline, so a lockdown level 2, and believe it or not, we actually are talking about a 2021 pipeline. So right now, have you had any thoughts of selling or any property plans? Even if you don't use or add the word now, me as a client think you're actually asking me now. But if you actually change it around and say, any property plans at the moment that I should be aware of, well, I don't think now's the right time in the marketplace. Well, I really like the line, you could be right. Okay, you could be right that now may not be the right time. However, from a crystal ball point of view, whilst neither of us have a crystal ball, what I do know is, here's what we're seeing right at the moment. If I look at the market dynamics that exist at this point in time, if we have a look at the current intel, it would suggest that right now is a fantastic to elevate your property. And when you're dealing with a professional such as us, who's got the right strategy and the right approach to be able to all of a sudden you're creating this shift. And I'm okay that our business generation strategy is not about finding listings, it's about finding listing opportunities. It's actually about finding someone who is going to list their property in the future. And if we can bring them forward, then great. Now, the simplest way, if you've got L2 pipeline, which is a pipeline for, say, 2 or 3 months away, the simplest way to challenge them is, and no doubt you guys know this, but the strategy here is called hypothetical. Hypothetically. So, Todd, if I had an apple right now, would you want one? Now, I don't have an apple, right? But if I did have an apple, would you want one? So the beautiful thing about a hypothetical, I don't have to have a buyer right now for your property. I could say, if I did have the buyer right now, would you actually bring your decision forward? If you didn't have to go through a full marketing campaign and we could actually achieve a result for you in a shorter time frame, would you actually consider bringing your decision forward? So suppose would you, or if would you? And from a hypothetical point of view, guys, the impact that's had on bringing business forward for our clients in the Aussie marketplace is significant. So, by the way, every time you speak with your pipeline, you can't turn around and say, suppose would you, suppose would you, suppose would you. But if you utilize it on the occasional basis, or we've just sold this property, we've had 2 buyers who are left over. They are in the mode where they are buyers who can perform. We are utilizing that term, buyers who can perform at the moment. And that means they have the capability, in other words, finance, and they have the desire. So capability and desire really make a buyer who can perform. I'd love to actually see what we can do to secure. Next is, here's what we know. Here's what we know right now. Like literally, this is what we know. So whilst we don't have a crystal ball, here's what we know right now. Is it the property or the price? So this is on the buying side, and what we're seeing at the moment is the interesting thing is, Todd, we've had our great agents go back over buyers who are active in the marketplace from September last year to right up until the sort of start of lockdown and so on. And what they've uncovered is a whole series of HBs, hot buyers, first point. They've also uncovered people who were turning up to open homes or engage in the marketplace out of doing research to see where their property sits in the marketplace. So all of a sudden, the number of VIP appraisals that are actually on the increase based on that particular strategy is huge. Now, obviously, once again, you connect in to say you came through a property of ours or you inquired about a property of ours in February this year, in September last year. We're going through and updating, just making sure that we've got everything covered. By the way, there were a couple of people who were thinking about selling back then, and we'd just love to actually organise a VIP appraisal to make sure you're up to date with where it's at. Have you already sold your place? Oh, you haven't. Okay, well, let's see what we can actually do. Now, this is all, roll the sleeves up and get in and do it, and all totally in your control. Next is, what's your best outcome? So I think sometimes we get caught into the mode of saying, oh no, I'm not going to sell until then. So we get a when then kind of scenario. So just, could you level with me? What's your best outcome? What's your big plan here? What is it that you're actually wanting to achieve? I love this. I just had to pop this one in. Power language is, what are you thinking your first offer will be? Now, as simple as this is, guys, bring this into your listing as well. And when you're with a client from a listing point of view, I believe your negotiation framework should be a huge, huge key with this. And Peter, it'd be fair to say, if we look at the people who are tuned in and listening, most of the guys have been through a set of market dynamics that exist like this before, e.g. GFC, e.g. Something else that has happened in our regional marketplace that has actually had a hiccup in terms of what's happened sales volume wise. You want to bring that into play into your listing appointment right now and say, hey, one of the most important things that you need right now is someone who has an experience to be able to negotiate in these particular circumstances. There's no order taking right now. It's actually about deal making. It's actually about making sure you've got someone who can play the matchmaker and negotiate on your behalf. Let me just give you a really simple example. One of the things that we do is when someone's ready to put an offer on the property, we don't simply just ask what's your offer going to be. We give them some background information as to why this property represents exceptional buying at the full asking price. But importantly, what we also do is we ask, what are you thinking your first offer is going to be? Now, what that does, it sets the scene for where we head to from here. Love this. You found it. You love it. Why not own it? And as simple as this is as dialogue, so often people move from the point of view of saying, well, actually, why don't I own it? Pretty simple. And it's looking like there are three options from here. And going through that two options, that three options, and starting to see how people actually put these things into play and go through that. So Todd, I don't know if you want to actually comment on any of these or go through it.
No, I have nothing to say.
Yeah.
No, I think I started this whole thing off with just saying one of the talents that you have is this ability to sort of put dialogue, whether you're speaking to me as an owner or an agent, or you're helping us talk to our clients. And this is a prime example, this idea of power language. These are all things that we inherently know need to be done. But if you are somebody out there that has been struggling with what to say, this is it right here. You're going to want to watch this over again. And you're going to want to integrate this, whether it be into your listing presentations or whether it just be into your phone calls that you're calling and having conversations with people. Because again, these are very specific to things that you have influence over, that you have control of, and will get the conversation moving forward. And I think so many of us have been sort of paralyzed at that. And for those of you who are not paralyzed, I don't know about you, but just, and maybe it's geographical, there's just enough nuance difference here in the way that he's framed some of these things that it's a game-changing differentiator if you will integrate some of these things into your current strategy. So love it, love it, love it.